Dave, it is time for your trivia question about the show.
I am
Dave.
so excited.
All right, here is
I
your
love
trivia
trivia.
question. Ready? Dave,
Yes.
we've been friends for years and years and years.
28.
No, that's not the question and not even the correct answer. But here is the question. What is my wife's first and last name?
Your wife Leslie Ware's first and last
Yes, Dave, that is correct.
Hey.
Awesome. Do you know her middle name?
Is it Schmesley?
No, that is not correct. It is Lynn. You shouldn't have known it though.
Yeah, how would I know that?
I don't think many people know.
You don't think it would be weird if I knew your wife's middle name?
No, I don't think it would be weird.
Yeah, why would it be?
I think it was just as fine as you knowing her full name, and I'm glad you know her name. I
So it is
wasn't
Leslie
actually sure if
Schmesley?
you'd know the answer to that question, Dave.
What do you mean? What kind of? Why are you unsure?
Dave, you didn't know what color the seats were we sat in the studio.
Well, that's different. That's different. The seats didn't make it.
You're right.
You
know,
think about
everybody
those
out there,
seats way too much. You know that?
everybody out there, please check us out at unseemlyquestions.com and at Six Unseemly on all social media. Let's get the show started. Welcome to Six Unseemly Question. I am your host, Victor Varnado. This is my sidekick, Dave Rosinsky. We've got a great contestant on the show today. Please put your hands together for Kate Willett. Yeah.
Welcome.
Also on the show, as our studio audience, we have Ben Katzner and Nick Vatterott. Thanks for coming to the show.
Welcome back.
Audience. You guys are great. All right. I guess I'll just put that out there and no response. Okay.
I just get so excited I wind up getting shy.
Don't be shy.
Kate, I'm going to tell you how the show works, and then we're going to get started. These are the rules. I'm going to ask you 6 unseemly questions. At the end of each question, I'll ring a bell if I like your answer, like this. However, if I do not like your answer, I will not ring a bell, and I'll tell you why. Regardless of how many bells you get at the end of the show, we'll decide whether or not it's worth giving you $5 whole for being on the show. Are you ready for question number 1?
Yes.
All right, question number 1. Is your cat a quarantine kitten?
I have 2 cats and they're both quarantine kittens.
You got 2 cats over the pandemic?
Yeah, so at the cat rescue, if you want to adopt a kitten, they actually make you adopt 2 kittens.
They force you? They won't let you take one?
Wow.
No, because kittens...
Did you want one or did you come looking for 2?
I wanted one. I wanted to adopt 1 kitten, but you have to adopt them in pairs so that they're not too lonely when they're little babies.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And then, but you were fine with that? You weren't you didn't fight them on it?
No, because 2 kittens is not that much more work than 1 cat. All their food's in the same place, same box. If anything, they keep each other company. So yeah.
They don't have separate bedrooms in your apartment?
No, they're just, it's actually nice for them. They all hang out and, it's cute. Yeah.
Well, I have a quick follow-up question. So when you got your 2 quarantine kittens, did it give you the desired result?
Yeah, honestly, I definitely think that it helped with the loneliness of quarantine a lot. Just having a little tiny buddies that cuddle you and cause trouble around the apartment it brightens your day.
And what are their names?
Albert and Pearl.
Oh, Albert and Pearl. All right. You know what? I'm going to say
Good names.
Bell on that question.
Oh, yeah.
Because I, too, have a quarantine kitten.
Aw.
All right. It is time for question number 2. But before we do that, can you tell people out there what you do?
So I am a stand-up comedian and I'm also an author. I have a new audiobook out called Dirtbag Anthropology that is available for free with any Audible subscription. So that's what I do. Write stuff and tell jokes.
What's the name of your book again?
It's called Dirtbag Anthropology.
Dirtbag Anthropology. And it's audio, but is it also written as well or just audio?
It's just audio because it has interviews and it kind of some podcast elements to it as well.
Does it have pictures so Victor can follow?
No, it does no pictures, but I have interviews in there with a bunch of really interesting people. Margaret Cho's in there, W. Kamau Bell's in there.
Oh, nice.
It's a fun book.
All right.
Sounds fun.
That does. It sounds awesome. All right, it's time for question number 2. Question number 2. What are your special skills?
Special skills. Okay. I think that I'm weirdly good at cooking.
Weirdly?
Like after this year, I cooked so many things that I'm actually like way better at it than I should be as a comedian. Like I make shit that's like really delicious just because I had a lot of free time on my hands.
What's your specialty?
I really like making risotto. I like making different really nice soups. I like making different kinds of pasta. I don't know.
I feel like a lot of comedians consider themselves good cooks.
Really? I feel like when I was a comedian before the quarantine, I was surviving on pizza, because it was just like getting in between sets, just whatever I could eat the fastest.
Let's see. First of all, let's test this out. So we have 4 comedians here, all besides yourself, that are men. And how many of us do you think are good cooks?
Is this my question?
No, I'm asking you. Yeah, I'm asking you your opinion. This is not one of your 6 questions, but this is just an opinion question that I'm asking you to find out if I'm going to give you the bell.
I would go with 2 of 4.
2 of 4. All right, so we're going to canvass the room and find out. I will answer first. I am a terrible cook, and I don't even try to be a good cook. Terrible. How about you, Dave?
Okay, I was pretty bad before the pandemic, but then I started cooking a little, and I got pretty good at it, but I've completely given up on it, so I'm back to being bad.
Oh, that answer could have been way shorter. Okay, Nick, how about you? Are you a good cook?
No, absolutely terrible. I mean,
all right.
I just used my oven. I am a better cook, like Kate said, after the pandemic, but now I'm reaching that, like I know how an oven works now.
Thanks.
That helps. How about you, Ben?
You can eat my chili, but don't eat anything else I make. I'm terrible at
So
Okay.
that's all 4 no's.
0 out of 4. Well, I was a little optimistic then.
Yeah, I guess you were. So no bell. No bell for you on that. You're way off. It was absolutely none of us are good cooks. Now it is time for question number 3. Question number 3. What's too raunchy?
Too raunchy?
Yes.
I don't think anything is too raunchy. I think it just depends on like, why you're saying it. You know what I mean? Like, I think if your motivation is just to gross people out, that's fine, but it's not. I never say anything just to gross people out. Like,
I get that. I mean, you're a self-described raunchy comedian.
Yeah, I think like I guess like for me, if I tell a joke that has something raunchy in it, it's like because it highlights something about the situation, right? Like it's not just to like make people be like, ew, but I think that's fine too. So I guess I would say nothing is too raunchy. That's not really like
nothing is too raunchy as long as there's a purpose.
Yeah.
Right. What do the other comedians here think? What about you, Nick and Ben? Is there anything that's too raunchy?
My initial thought was, I think raunchy for raunchy's sake is too raunchy, but raunchy that serves another purpose is just the right raunch.
Got it.
So we agree, more or less. Yeah.
Yeah, it seems that you two agree. What about you, Ben? What do you think?
I mean, I just haven't even heard the word raunchy in such a long time that I'm having fun with this part of it. I will say I agree with Nick and Kate. I think everything you said is correct. Kate, I also never considered you a raunchy comedian. I didn't know that was like how we should be. Is that how I should be thinking of you as a comic?
I mean, if you read a website.
Someone else put that in my bio. Like someone else, like I asked them to write a thing to describe my comedy. And I hadn't really thought about it because I guess I just like accepted. Yeah, that sounds true. Because I do a lot of sex jokes,
Well, that's cool. That's cool that Victor made you self-conscious about it now.
Well, I don't feel self-conscious, but I wonder if that's like true anymore. But I
yeah,
guess,
let's think about it in depth now.
Yeah, I guess.
And fire that person who wrote your bio.
I do have a lot of sex jokes. I feel like that's what raunchy was a euphemism for. My case in particular.
Got you.
Lots of sexual humor.
I used to be addicted to telling really disturbingly raunchy jokes, but with no swearing. So like jokes where it would just conjure up a horrible image in people's heads. I don't know why. And that is really not helpful for this conversation, but I just wanted to bring it up.
Clean raunch. Family friendly raunch.
Family.
He's
friendly
talking
raunch.
about his fart jokes, of course.
I am not talking about my fart jokes. My fart jokes are
Poop,
beautiful.
pissing, whatever.
All right, I'm going to say Bell on that question. And I'll tell you
Nice.
why. Because we discovered a lot about where the line is for raunch. Which
Raunch
is
dress.
basically there's no line as long as it's funny. As long as it's good and funny. All right. Now it is time for question number 4. Question number 4. How quickly would you die in a horror movie?
I think I would die like first because I'm very slutty, you know? They always pull up the slutty ones first.
Yep.
Because you're, I mean,
It's a
just
good point. They go
not-
into the rooms or somewhere alone.
so you're not even evaluating your skill to like plan or fight or anything or hide. Just because you're slutty, you think that you would die.
Well, that's how it works. Like, there's always the slutty girl is always the person who dies first in the horror movie.
It's like a different form of slut shaming.
I mean, as a black man, I would say that it's the black guy who dies first in the horror movie.
That was my thought. I wasn't sure if I could interject, but I was questioning that.
Oh yeah,
I
you're
feel-
totally welcome.
I
to
feel like it's one or the other. Those are always the first two. The order can vary, but yes.
But it's the worst for black sluts. We can all agree on that.
Yes. Yes.
Black sluts have it
they're
the
done
worst.
first. Yeah.
But I
absolutely.
mean, that is, you know, it is definitely true that like the people who make it to the end of the horror movie, like the people who live a long time, it is always a white girl who is not slutty. You
Yeah,
know?
the white virgin every time.
Yeah. So yeah.
It's the only person that lives in these freaking movies anymore.
Yes.
So by horror movie rules, you feel like you'll die early.
Oh, unquestionably. I also use drugs sometimes, so you know. Yeah.
That's right. So you're just like a total like lost cause. So they would just like you would die just because you don't adhere to more moralistic value.
Yeah, exactly.
Got it. All right. You know what? I'm going to give you a bell because I don't know how slutty you are, but I'm just going to take your word for it.
Okay.
All right. Now it is time for question number 5. Question number 5. Are there people in your family funnier than you?
Not intentionally.
Not intentionally?
I have a cousin who's into QAnon. It's funny in a
Yikes.
laughing at kind of way.
Uh-huh.
I have yeah, my dad is pretty funny, but not on purpose. My dad is like, he read like, you know, a lot of books on like business communication. So everything he says is like just overly professional. He'd be like, Victor Varnado, it's really nice to meet you. How's your day going, Victor? And like he talks like a business robot, and it's very funny, but not on purpose. So no, I would say I'm the only person in my family that's intentionally funny, but there are people who are funnier than me without trying to be.
And these are the business robots you speak of.
Well, I think, you know, I have a lot of I got a lot of like religious family members. Like
Religious robots.
you know, I didn't mean to call my dad a robot. I just mean like he communicates in like business professional language, like in all situations.
No,
like,
it's totally cool. Victor's a robot. Don't worry about it.
I am
But,
not a robot. He is
I
incredible.
am not a robot. You hear how he talks? Like a robot.
I will say this. In my family, there are definitely people that are funnier than me on purpose, but they just don't know how to perform or hone what they have. Like my sister and my mother are extremely funny people, but they have no idea how to hone their hilariousness. So they'll never hold a candle to me as a performer, but just in general being funny people there. I feel like that's true for a lot of comics, but maybe not for you, obviously. Does anybody else have family members that are funnier than them?
I got
No?
a clown in my family.
That doesn't mean anything to me. I actually, in fact, most of the time when people say they're clowns, I assume they're not funny.
So you just assume it's a sad clown because they have those.
Yeah,
They
I
just
mean,
cry.
I know a lot of clowns. Okay, I used to date quite a few clowns. I took a few clown courses, and then finally abandoned clown training.
Yo, it sounds like
because of the other clowns.
It sounds like you're clown bragging in the show.
Does it?
Yeah,
You
you
know,
dropped a lot of clown names.
I noticed that Nick, who seems very clowny, got very quiet.
Because you brought up a sensitive topic for him.
Yeah, it sounds like you're not taking your clowning seriously.
You're correct. All right, so I'm gonna say no, Bell, because you're not like me and have funnier family members than yourself who are funny on purpose, and because I feel alone, no Bell for you. All right, it is time for question number 6, Kate. Question number 6. What's your end game?
Jesus Christ.
My end game.
Yes, what's your end game?
Okay, I'm trying to think about how to answer that question because the first thing that comes to mind is like what is my end game with like comedy or what do I want to be doing with my career or whatever. But then it also could be interpreted more like what's your whole thing as a person? What is what are you kind of moving towards? I guess I don't think I'm not like a person with an agenda. I think enough, even in like situations where one is required. I tend to be a little bit like flexible and gullible. I don't have an end game really a lot of the time. And if anything, I sometimes end up going for the ride. So I would say that my end game at this point is to like, I don't know, have a happy life that is creative and fulfilled and full of human connection. But that's
right.
harder than it seems because
I know.
you got to stay on track,
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to find human connection. I mean, I see that you've been doing it, but you ended up with cats instead. So.
Well, there was a boyfriend here originally that I adopted the cats with, but he had a different end game. So.
Oh no, were you one of those couples that ended during the pandemic?
Yeah, we started and ended during the pandemic.
Oh, you started during the pandemic too?
Yeah.
Like how far in?
Right away.
Day 2.
We went on like a couple dates before the pandemic, and then like by the third date, we were already like shacked up and quarantining together.
Was that your end game at the time, Kate?
Well, I think that was a relationship where we didn't really think a lot about what our end game was, in the beginning. And then we were like, because it was just like the world was ending, right? So we're like, oh my God, like we have to like not get the coronavirus. But then as we were a little bit into it, we're like, oh my gosh, like we actually want like totally different things. So,
yeah. So it sounds like you started off clinging together because you thought the world was going to end. But when you found out, no, the world's just going to be shitty, then you're like, do I want to spend this time with you?
Well, I think there's many things that are many people that can be enjoyable to spend time with. That it turns out that there's one reason or another that you would not be able to live with that person for the rest of your life.
And that's what the cats are for.
Yes.
And here we are, full circle, talking about the cats again.
Yes, Dave. Way to do the exact same joke I did a minute ago.
Which
now,
one?
were you living with the same? Were you living in the same apartment you're in now?
Yeah.
Okay, so he moved in with you.
He moved in with me at the beginning of quarantine, and then stayed until things kind of opened back up a little bit in the summer. And then we hung out, and I have 2 roommates too that moved in because my original roommates at the beginning of the pandemic, they both went back to their states of origin, respectively. And so we started a relationship by like living together for a few months, which was an interesting way of doing it for sure. I don't know if I could recommend, but it was definitely like a nice thing to happen at the beginning of the pandemic.
All right. I'm going to say Bell on that question. I'll tell you why. It's because your original answer was great, but then the secondary story about the pandemic love was also good. Very entertaining, Kate. thank you.
Oh, thank you.
All right.
Thank you very much.
You've answered all 6 questions, Kate. Now it's time to decide whether or not you get $5. But before we do that, can you tell people out there where they can find you?
So I'm on Twitter at Kate Willett with 2 L's and 2 T's. On Instagram, Kate.Willett. And you can check out my audiobook, Dirtbag Anthropology, on Audible.
All right. Wonderful. All right. So, Kate, it's time to decide whether or not you get $5. We're going to canvass the room. What do you think, Dave? Should Kate get $5?
I say we give it to her.
Any reason?
Do I have to say one?
No.
All right. I say we give it to her because of the cat story.
Okay.
Because of the cat story. Ben, what do you think? Should Kate get $5?
I think Kate should get the $5. She bared her soul on here. She talked about her raunchiness, sluttiness, her pandemic breakup, everything. I know more about Kate than I've known in like years. So she deserves the money as far as I'm concerned.
I hear you.
Very convincing, Ben. I'm with
great.
you.
What do you think, Nick? Should Kate get $5?
You know, I went through a pandemic relationship, and I tell you, we were complete opposites. You know, I wear a mask. She was an anti-masker. You know, I believed in COVID. She thought COVID was a hoax.
Nice.
I was in love with her. She's never met me. I mean, it was a whole did not work out. I'll just say that. So I think I have sympathy for her situation.
All right. So he says that you should get $5, but most of his reasoning was based on fantasy. All right. Rebecca, our producer, why don't you come on up and tell us, what do you think? Should Kate get $5?
Absolutely, she should get the $5. Because if you don't give it to her, it's slut shaming.
Yes.
What? Is it?
Yep.
Got him with logic.
Wow. Okay. All right. So Kate, what do you think? Should you get $5?
I've got 2 small cats to feed. So yes.
I might argue she deserves $10 because by the way, best cat salesman ever. You need 2.
All right. Well, I do not want to slut shame. So, Kate, you're definitely going to get $5. Congratulations.
Yeah.
And you're a great guest on the show. Dave, can
Victor.
you tell us what you learned from this week's show?
Well, we went over the order in the horror movies, and of course it was sluts, and we learned a lot about slut shaming, and don't do it.
Great, Dave. That is great. I think
Don't
you
do
should
it.
put that in quotes and engrave it on stone. All right. So everybody else out there, please check us out at unseemlyquestions.com and Six Unseemly on all social media. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye, everybody.
Starbane's Audio, a podcast network.